Hello and welcome to another video, and on this particular one we'll be focusing our efforts on the new Python certification course that is being offered on freeCodeCamp that's titled Scientific Computing with Python. It's currently on the beta stage. So let's begin. Python is one of the most popular flexible programming languages today, and it's basically can be used to almost do anything, including basic scripting and machine learning. And in this particular certification for scientific computing, we are going to learn the fundamentals of like variables, loops, conditional statements, functions, just to mention but a few. And then we will quickly ramp up our complex with the complex look into data structures, networking, databases, data visualization, and etc. So in order for us to be able to complete this particular certification and get our certificate, we need to go through a couple of challenges we have, and that will require us to build different projects. And from what we have here, the certification itself has a couple of them. And in each particular project, we are going to learn something new. And with that said, let's begin with our first one, which is learn string manipulation by building a cipher. So basically, this is just an overview of what Python is and what it can be used in. And for this project, we are going to learn more on programming concepts such as variables, functions, loops, and conditional statements, as I mentioned earlier. And we are going to use to code. We are going to use these concepts that we're going to learn to code our first program or project, which is a cipher. And that being said, let's go ahead and kickstart our project from the first step. So basically, the first step begins by an introduction of what variables are and how important they are in the programming world, and how whichever programming language you choose to study, you're going to encounter them. And in order for you to declare a variable in Python, you need to use the equal sign to assign the variable name and value. So under that, our task for step 1 is for us to create a variable called number and assign it a value of 5. So let's go ahead and do that. Number is equals to 5. If our code is correct, our step should pass, and we should proceed to the next one. And that is step number 2. Step number 2, variables can store values of different data types. You just assigned an integer value, but if you want to represent some texts, you need to assign a string. Strings are sequences of characters enclosed by single or double quotes. But you cannot start a string with a single quote and end it with a double quote, or vice versa. And a good example of this description is this example of code we have here. So our challenge in this particular task step requires us to delete this variable that we had initially declared, and create a new one that is called text, and assign it the value of hello world. So let's do that, and remember they should be in single or double quotes. So let's do that. And let's check our code, and if everything is correct, then we should proceed to the next one. And in this case, we had a misspelling of a small caps H. Let's go ahead and replace that, and we should be able to proceed to the next step. Step number 3, you can use in built-in functions such as print to print the output of your code in the terminal. And our functions are reusable code blocks that you can run or call when you need them. So in order for you to call a function, you just need to write a pair of parentheses next to its name. And we are going to learn more on this on the later sections or projects. And what we are required to do in this particular step is for us to print the value that we had assigned to text. And for that, we need to call the print function, as we have read. And within the parentheses, we pass in the variable name text, and that should be able to print it for us, as you can see on the right side of the screen here on our console. So let's check, and everything checks. Proceeding to the next step, and that's step 4. And here we do an introduction of character referencing. So basically, each string character can be referenced by a numerical index. The index starts at 0, and so the first character of a string has an index of 0. For example, in the string hello world, H is at index 0 and E is at index 1 and so on. So each character of a string can be accessed by using the bracket notation. So for example, here we have a variable name, my string, which is assigned the value of hello world. And if we were to check the value that is at the character that is at index number 8, then we need to count from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That will be letter O. So, and our task here is to print text, and specifically the character that is at index number 6. So for this, we need to the text hello world, and inside here, all we need to do is add the bracket notation, and inside it we add the value 6, and we should be able to print our value, which is W in this case. So let's check our code, and everything seems to be right, and we should be able to proceed to the next step, which is step number 5. And you can also access string characters starting from the end of the string. The last character of an index is -1, the second last, -2, and so on. Now we need to modify our existing print function and call the last function on our value that we passed, and that's hello world. So basically all you need to do is like initially we had a 6 here, so to get the last character of our text, and we need to replace 6 to -1, and we should be able to get D, which is the last value on all the last character. So check that, and everything seems to be okay. Let's proceed to the next step. Next, you can access the number of characters in a string with the built-in function of length, and basically it checks the length of characters or a particular string that have been assigned. So modify your existing printf to modify your existing printf call to print length text. So basically, so we need to get rid of this here and replace it with the length, and also since it's a function, we need the parentheses, and inside the parentheses we pass in our string name, which is text, and it should be able to give us a value of 11, which is the total length of what we have here. So let's check on that, and everything seems to be right. Let's proceed to step number 7. So on step number 7, you can see 11 printed on the terminal because hello world contains 11 characters. That's true. Another useful built-in function is type, which returns the data type of a variable. Modify print call to print the data type of text. So basically, we need to modify this particular function here and make it print the data type. So for this, we need to get rid of that, and inside here, I believe we are going to type and also add the parentheses since it's a function, and within this we pass in our string name, which is text, and I believe this should be able to give us a value of a string, and let's check if that's correct, because it's a series of characters that represent a string, and that passes correctly. Moving on to the next step, and that's step number 8. So in step number 8, as you can see, the output of printing type message is class string, which means that your variable is a string indicated as a str. Basically, yeah, that's true. Now go to a new line and create another variable called shift. So remember, creating variables, we need to add the name and then the equal sign and the value, and assign it a value of 3. Let's do that and check our code. That passes correctly, and move on to the next step, and now print the new variable. So basically what you need to do is add another print function here, and inside it remember to add the parentheses, and inside here we call our name, the variable name shift, and check our code. As you can see, it prints 3 on the terminal. Submit our code and proceed to the next step, which is step number 10, and call the type function and print the data type of shift. So we we're going to do a replica of this function up here. So we are going to write print, add the parentheses, add the type function, another set of parentheses, and inside here we are going to call the shift name, and we are going to get rid of these, and just some spacing here to make it look neat, and check our code if everything works correctly. And as you can see, we have it printed as type integer. And with that, let's proceed to the next step, which is step number 11.